This is a rare opportunity for me to, one, make one of these types of videos because I actually have some quiet time and I'm in the mood. I have to really be in the mood to make these kind of videos. But Dan over at TheDaily Prep made a video and he asked the question, do you actually use your EDC? You know, and this here is my EDC. Let's go over this real quick. Maxpedition, I think it's called the Micro Wallet. Maritac flashlight, when a little one's just a AAA. Chapstick, classic, it's gotta be the classic. Spyderco Stretch and the ZDP 189, I'm playing with that still. Leatherman Blast, Glock 27, and this is the HTC Sensation. I keep mine pretty basic, pretty simple. So again, the question was, have you used your EDC? So let's get rid of kind of the boring stuff. I mean, I think this is kind of a no-brainer for most of us, right? That's not going to be terribly exciting. Now we're kind of starting to dig into the more nitty-gritty type of stuff. So what we're going to talk about, well, you know what, actually, let's get rid of this one too. This will come into play later. Maybe a different video. This whole thing actually, the reason I'm excited to do this, and Dan, thanks for putting this out there, is I have a whole kind of, I don't know if series, a handful of vids that kind of play around with this idea that have just been bouncing around my head that I kind of want to get out there. But this might be a good intro to it, we'll see. So, all of these items right here I have used. My most frequently used out of these items are likely the flashlight, which I use daily, both at work and home, and a knife that I use pretty much daily, being sometimes at work, sometimes at home. And I do use this quite a bit, but we'll get this one out of the way. All right, let's talk about these three items real quick. First, flashlight, knife, and yep, we'll talk about the gun, but yeah, we'll get there. All right, flashlight. So I use this quite a bit in the mornings when I get up and get ready. Instead of turning on lights, I'll use this maybe out in the garage if there's not enough light. Honestly, since I started carrying a flashlight a long time ago, I am amazed at how often it comes in handy. And this is truly one of those items that I feel naked without, is a flashlight. And I use this at work constantly also. I won't go into details with that, but I don't want to belabor this stuff too much, guys, because I want to make this somewhat of a short video. Knife. Geez, how many things can you use a freaking knife for? I mean, self-defense, yes, but in reality, as a tool, oh man, it's just a lifesaver. A real quick story. I was on the way home from shooting with the late Boy Scout, actually, and his kids and my kids. And my son, we were out almost all day in the sun, so he was really thirsty when we were coming home. This was Hawk. Sometimes I forget their YouTube names. And he drank a bunch of water on the way home. You see where this is going? So what I generally do on simple little trips like that is I'll take 2 liters of water in those 2-liter pop bottles. We just fill those up with water and take those. And we got to a red light, and oh my gosh, I don't think I've ever seen him dance so much in my entire life. And I didn't want him peeing in my car. So what I did is we happened to have one of those empty 2-liter bottles, and I thought this would be a great pee bottle. And he's 6-year-old, guys, so he's not the best aim. So rather than have that little opening, what I did is I just cut the complete top off that 2-liter bottle with, was it this knife? I think it was this knife. And no, it was the zero, gosh dang. It was the Kershaw Knockout is what it was. I cut the top of that off and I said, here you go, buddy. Now, as it happens, I actually was able to pull off and find a somewhat private area for him to pee. So we didn't have to use the bottle, but it was nice that that was an option. All right. So yes, and yes. Once we were helping my brother-in-law move. This was 7 years ago. My wife was pregnant with Hawk, actually with our second child, And Trout, he was about 2 years old, I think. And my sister-in-law was pregnant with their first. And I tell you, the wives, and that they were pregnant, and at the time, my only son was there, because it kind of conveys more importance of what was going on and what happened, because their family, and boy, I wouldn't ever want anything to happen to them. So we're helping them move out, and they were in a 3rd floor apartment building. And at the time, actually, and yes, guess what? This is loaded. It's got one in the chamber. It's my concealed carry, and it is what it is, because it's a loaded gun, and we're going to treat it as such. We'll treat it very carefully. I wasn't using this one at the time. What I did have was this one. Yep, a full-size, big old heavy 1911. This is a Kimber Custom Classic, I believe is what it's called. And I can't remember details, but I think I was in a hurry, so I just grabbed the gun and I threw it in the car with me and we left. So I didn't have a holster. Now, moving from that 3rd floor and all those heavy items, I didn't want a big full-size heavy gun in my pants without a holster. So I put it in the car. This guy came up. He was very, how do you say it? I'll just call it like I say it. He looked like an ass, all right? Very strung out, you could kind of tell, and the gut feeling to me was there, like, okay, watch out for this guy. Honestly, I thought it was my brother-in-law's brother or a family member or something, because he walked right into the house, or into the apartment, when my son and I were in there. We were the only ones in there at the time. I'm leaving a lot of details out because I want to make this very quick. He got in the back. Long story short, we cornered him. I started talking to him. His hand went down into his left pocket. And at that point, I dropped back into his stance. For those that don't know, I studied martial arts for a while. So I was ready to go, because this thing got very serious very quickly. At that point, the excitement level went up. My wife grabbed my kid and left immediately. My sister-in-law, she bolted, and it was just me and my brother-in-law with this guy in one of the back apartment bedrooms. I want to diffuse the situation first, if we can, and in this situation I felt that we could. So I kept talking. Long story short, again, we talked him out of the apartment. So we finally got him out of the apartment. The guy was obviously on drugs. He was not making sense. He wasn't completely loony or completely gone, but he was obviously not all there. Got him out, and I told my wife, I said, shut this door and deadbolt it. So that's what she did. When she did that, I went downstairs, got into my car, and got my gun and went back upstairs and knocked on the door. My wife let me in. I turned around, and all I did was this. Okay, that's me doing the deadbolt. And just that alone for my EDC, okay, and there's one thing, you Facebook guys know what I'm talking about. This is a discussion we had already, is there's an EDC item you cannot see here, and that is your mind, the way you think. And could I have tried to be a hero and use the gun? I think that'd be dumb and asinine. Instead of just doing this, click with a deadbolt, that's it. He did come back up. He was trying to get in the house. At that point, we called the cops and said, hey, we got a weirdo here. And as he was trying to get in, I was on the other side of the door, just like this. Of course, it was ready to go, and I was just waiting. He wasn't kicking the door, thank goodness, but you never know, and those apartment buildings, at least most that I've lived in, are really not that secure. So, have I used my EDC items? Yes, I have. And maybe in a future vid, I'm going to detail this a little bit more as far as EDC goes, but I'll save that for later. So anyways, I've gone on longer than I wanted to. I'll keep it short. Thanks, Dan. This was kind of a fun video. See you guys later.